and welcome back to Rimworld. So I fixed the issue with the elephants that were eating my food. I put walls around it, simple as that. So I turned that into, you know, my animals feeding zone pretty much. Anyway, so this video we're gonna be talking about a little about like crafting in general, and I will throw in a couple of tips and hints how you can make things more efficient when it comes to crafting specific things in general. So yeah, let's get started. Your crafting is generally under production tab right here, and there are many things in the game that you can craft. Like for example, I have made an electric data bench right here, which is made out of steel because the area struggles with wood. So yeah, this is a tailor bench where you craft your clothing, and there are many things that you can craft when it comes to clothes. And generally, well, your people want clothing. Well, generally it depends of the area, how cold it might be in the area, or how much heat there is. They can get heat stroke if they don't wear proper, like if you don't make them wear a duster, for example, and all of that. I don't have everything available yet because a lot of things will become available after you do a very specific like research, for example, noble apparel and whatnot, and then it will become available in the specific workbench that it requires. Okay, so here let's say that we would like to make a parka for cold. Parkas are used to protect your pawns against cold. So here's the most important tab right here, is the details tab. If we go under the details tab, there immediately, if you are a new player, there's a lot of information scattered in the small screen, and it can be very confusing at the start. But I'll go over this like one step at a time. So over here we have do X times, meaning that, hey, do this, like make parkas like 2 times, meaning that they will make 2 parkas. You can also tell them like do until you have, which means they will keep making those parkas now until you have a total of 5. So this is actually a very neat way of making sure that you always have a very specific amount of clothing for your pawns. So let's say you have 10 pawns and you know that, hey, I need this thing. I always need 10 of those. So you can keep this at 10, and then once you have less than that, they will go ahead and, you know, craft it for you, whoever is assigned for the crafting. Again, very important. Count equipped. You can tell them like count equipped or count tainted. That's up to you. Pause when satisfied. You can use that if you want. I haven't used this as much because this already satisfies my personal needs with everything that I usually do. So do until X times I've found to be very, very powerful tool personally, especially when it comes to cooking. I'd say cooking is also part of crafting. As you can see over here, this is my cooking over here. And what I've done here is told that, hey, cook 5 meals until I have 30. So the moment I run less than 30, whoever is assigned to cooking will go ahead and make sure that, hey, we still have that 30. But once it's satisfied, they now go to do whatever their 3rd priority or 2nd priority is, for example. This is very important, especially for those that are playing on higher difficulty, to make sure that, you know, you're keeping your wealth in check. This is all about managing, you know, your wealth in the best possible way and managing your pawn time. So yeah, extremely important, you know. All right, so what else? Let's go back to this detail tab now. We have this over here, which is also super important. you can tell them like, hey, don't take this to stockpile, just drop it on the floor. So once they're finished with it, instead of, you know, running back and forth from the stockpile, you tell them like, hey, drop this on the floor. Why is this so good? Well, once you have hauling animals, the animals can haul that from the floor to the stockpile. So your pawn doesn't need to really spend time on that. Again, it's all about the efficiency and time management in the game, especially on the higher difficulties. You want to make sure that each day is spent wisely so that once they're doing their task, it gets done much quicker and more efficiently. Okay, any worker, you can pick here who should work on this craft bench, or sorry, not craft bench, but on this very specific task in the details that we're in. Now comes, well, this is honestly very straightforward, and I'm sure I don't really need to go much over that. You can tell them which type of material you want that to be made out of. And down here, you can also tell them like, okay, this, you know, nobody who has less than 10 crafting skill is allowed to really, you know, work on this. Very straightforward, but at the same time, very, very nice. Again, another thing that is actually very important is this over here. Ingredients radius. You can tell them like, hey, don't take any ingredients that is less than, let's say, that. Oh, okay, so it's a little bit difficult. There you go. So you can now see the radius where they can, where they're allowed to take the material from. Okay, so this is actually very important. I'm gonna show you guys a nice little neat trick. Well, some call it trick, but I'd say it's just being smart. What you can do here is make a couple of stockpiles right here. Let's say I made 2 stockpiles here. And now what I do is, let's go ahead and say that clear all. And assign manufacturing, textiles, and let's say cloth. And then we put this to critical. Now let's go back over here and decrease the radius even more to, let's say, 4. Okay, now we decreased it to 4. Now, since the stockpile that I created is right next to that workbench and contains cloth, they will only be using that cloth, right? Again, super effective, right? Because why would you want to run back and forth into the stockpile, which I'm currently doing because this is all temporary setup. I will be doing like a proper setup later on. This is just the start of the game. But I wanted to show you guys how it would be very good to, you know, craft. Then they drop that on the floor. Then they have cloth right next to them. They take that cloth immediately. So they don't even walk anywhere. They're finished, boom, they drop it on the floor, and they immediately take the material, or they have the material right next to them, and bam. It's very effective and straightforward. Super easy, right? I'm not gonna go over each workbench because the whole crafting idea in the workbenches are very similar. Again, keep in mind that all these blueprints, I don't have much of a blueprints available right now because you need to unlock that within your research tree. And then once you have researched it, it will become available over here. But if we take, like, let's say simple helmet and we go under details, it's exactly the same for each workbench. The whole idea of it is the same. So yeah, it's just the same. Another thing that I want to note out here is that also, which is very important, when you deal with crafting in general, you might want to have these crafting stations fairly close to each other, because a lot of crafting stations use what is called a tool cabinet. And now when I select that tool cabinet, watch what happens here. Now, because things are fairly close to each other, what I can do here is say that, hey, all right, so let's go ahead and put these things over here, and you can see the coverage. Keep in mind that you can use up to 2 tool cabinets per workbench, and it will boost the production rate of that crafting. So yeah, let's say I put them here. You can see how it covers all of my workbenches that I have in the area. Fairly good, right? It's just super effective. I'm not going to put them over here right now because there are things that I'm going to do. But anyway, that's pretty much the basics of crafting. Let me think here if I have... Maybe I need to think for a moment. Let me put my brain into motion. Have I missed out on anything that is important to note out, perhaps? You can do a lot of neat tricks with, you know, these little stockpile zones that I just showed you guys. There's a lot of cool ways to make your general crafting thing a lot more efficient. I'm just thinking if I missed out anything that is super important to note. I don't think I did, to be very honest. I think we covered most of, like, at least the very basic level of... Not even very basic, I mean, I went to fairly specifics. Yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to, you know, crafting. I'm not gonna let them craft right now to show you guys exactly how it works, but... Or how they do it, rather. But yeah, guys, I mean... That is the basics of Rimworld crafting, and that's how it works pretty much for every workbench. Regardless of what it is, trucks, cooking, manufacturing, production. And by manufacturing and production, I mean, you know, making clothes or making weapons. It's just generally the same. Alright guys, I do want to thank you for watching. I hope this helps all the new players out. If you'd like to catch some more live footage of me, make sure to check out Twitch. You can find the link down below in the description. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for watching. Hope it really helps you out. And I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. I don't know what we're going to cover next time, but probably something to do with making caravans and how to... Not making caravans, how to form caravans. Something to do with that probably, but we'll see about it. Either way, thank you once more, and have a good one. Bye-bye. So the way you need to build the nutrient paste is that it needs to be... So this side over here, as you can see, the white side, is where the people take the food. This is where they get the food. And the back side of it, as you can see over here, is where the hoppers go. And the way you need to place the hoppers is that you need to put the hoppers like that. See? If you put it the other way, it won't work because that's just not how it works. So that way. Now let's go ahead and place one hopper over there. Right there. There you go.